In a world where one woman tries to start a podcast,
how will I ever do this on my own?
She thought she would have to get expensive equipment.
What? I can do all of this on a free app?
She thought she would have to find creation tools all over the internet.
You mean it can all be contained in an app on my phone and computer?
She thought she would have to do all her own distribution.
You mean to tell me this app is going to send it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all those other platforms for me?
She thought she would never make any money.
I don't have to wait for a minimum listenership to monetize?
She thought that she would have to find all kinds of different equipment and pieces.
But I'm going to download this free Anchor app and get started today.
Visit Anchor.fm and download the free Anchor app to be just like her, the ultimate podcaster.
Hello and welcome to the Lou Review. This is Rosa Hart, and today I have a special guest. His name is Nik Heberlein, and he's going to tell us about his two restaurants.
One restaurant.
Well, I guess
one's just a bar.
One's just a bar.
Yeah, we don't.
You don't even serve like
food.
pretzels or anything.
We've got some snacks.
You have snacks there.
Snacks.
Okay.
But not a full kitchen.
Okay, so you have the Great Flood Brewing,
Mm-hmm.
which is primarily the first location is on Bardstown Road in the Highlands.
Next to Twig and Leaf. Yep.
Okay. And so that is the one that's just a bar with snacks, as you said. And then you want to tell us about your new location where I met you?
Yeah, so we opened about 5 weeks before COVID started, out in Middletown, full bar, full restaurant, kind of doing a little bit of everything. It's kind of a southern twist on bar food.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think you had your poutine was just like a very southern take on poutine with lots of bacon, and I was very happy about that.
Southern white gravy,
Yeah.
cheese curds, lots of cheddar cheese. I don't think that you can get enough cheese on something. So lots of cheese on there. There's shredded cheddar cheese and then cheese curds on top with the French fries and the gravy and the bacon. So, yeah.
Well, then I support those choices. And then let's see. So you're one of three owners.
Mm-hmm.
You want to introduce us to the triad?
Yeah. So there's me, and then there's Matt Fuller and Zach Barnes.
Okay.
The company was started 8 years ago, and then looked to expand and found the location out here in Middletown. Both of my business partners are from Middletown, and they knew the building and they knew the area, and they were like, that's where we need to expand to. Yeah. And so we stumbled upon the building, and it's been very successful ever since.
I really love the location. You're right in front of the Kroger, and it's got a great Shelbyville Road facing wall that you added a mural to. And so I think that's really good for being eye-catching by the road because, you know, visibility is a big part of introducing a new restaurant, right?
We've tried to bring the Highlands location feel to Middletown. Okay. So we were named after the 1937 flood. So it's kind of the 30s era. Yeah. And so that's why the mural on the outside is a couple of flapper girls. And then we've got a mural on the inside of like kind of downtown during the flood. Oh. And then there's also another one of an Art Deco version of downtown Louisville. And two of them, so I have a day job where I'm a high school counselor, and two of them, one of my students did for us.
They did.
So she did the one on the outside and then the one on the inside on the dining room side.
Oh.
And then Zach painted the one that's in the bar side that fits in, and it just all ties it together to our theme and trying to get the Bardstown Road feel out to Middletown, kind of trying to keep the company in the kind of the same feeling.
Right. Keep it cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize that before, I guess, because whenever I met you in the restaurant, it's been like really busy. And so like we talk a little bit about the food and that's pretty much it. But you also have the light fixtures and stuff. The driftwood is so beautiful, which now makes a whole lot more sense if we're talking about the flood because there would be so much driftwood. in the flood, and then you have all the Edison bulbs throughout as
And
well.
all of that driftwood came out of the Ohio River. So
it
the guy
did.
that we got to do that for us, he walks up and down the Ohio River and gets the driftwood. And we've actually got it in both locations throughout the entire building.
Oh,
So it
okay.
kind of fits into the theme of the 37 flood. And then the one in the restaurant in Middletown is supposed to look like a river coming down and meandering through the bar side, and then it goes outside too onto the patio.
Oh my goodness, the patio is so beautiful. Like, a lot of patios, they feel like an afterthought, and I really felt like the patio was part of the rest of the restaurant, I think, because of that connection. So you mentioned you're a high school counselor. How did you end up in the restaurant business?
So I never thought I'd end up in the restaurant business. I have a hobby and love beer. And so I got in.
I feel like I've heard that from teachers before.
Yes. The beer side of it and the brewery side, and just kind of doing that side. And then when Matt and Zach was like, hey, we need to open this building came open, like, this is where we need to be. And it had a kitchen attached to it. So we were like, okay, we can figure out the restaurant side of it too.
Well, when did you go from liking beer as a person and then going into business with them, I guess? Were you part of it from the beginning?
No, I was not. I'm not an original founder.
Okay.
But the one of the original founders, just because I had been so involved when he wanted out, he was like, Nick, do you want my spot? And I was like, yeah, like, it's a natural fit. I already kind of know the business side and everything like that because I've been so heavily involved as like a non-official owner, like just kind of.
Oh, okay.
I was up there all the time.
You were helping your friends as a hobby?
Yes, there you go. That's a good way to put it. Helping my friends as a hobby. So, yes.
Wow, so then you actually got like a piece of the pie.
Yes.
All right, well, that's neat. So you were helping to actually make the drinks, right?
So I have helped brew. That's mostly Matt's side of it.
Okay.
And then we've got a head brewer. His name is Joel. And so Matt and Joel kind of handle that side.
Okay. They come up with your recipes.
Yeah, and I can tell them. So, like, I wanted to do a Mexican lager, and I said, hey, Joel, you take this, create, and Joel did a great job. We just got a new beer that came out. It's a Belgian triple with chai in it. And so I wanted to do something wintery, and I was like, hey, Joel, like, I want a wintery beer, and that's what he came up with me. So I can kind of give him ideas, and he does the beer side of it for me. Nice. I'm more naturally an events guy for the company. So any of the beer events, or I've done like a Cinco de Mayo out here. I did an Oktoberfest out here in Middletown. I just did an event last Friday for a charity that we called Feliz Navidad. And I put that together. So that's kind of what my wheelhouse is.
Your new Mexican beer for that? Or is that something still
our Mexican lager? Yeah, we had that there. We partnered up with a couple of different companies here in town to benefit a charity, and we ended up raising about $800 for La Casita Center.
Okay, what's La Casita Center?
It's basically a catch-all for the Latin community. Okay. They'll do anything from translating to if you need diapers to like anything. It's kind of a catch-all. So,
good. Okay. Usually when I need translation through work, we go through the Catholic Charities. So I'm glad then to know there's more resources out there because translation is a big need in our community. What is this that you brought tonight?
This is our Malbec Saison.
Wow. What does that mean?
Malbec is a type of wine.
Yeah.
That I am not a wine drinker, so I will tell you
that.
Did
you make beer out of grapes? Is that allowed?
No, but we did not. I don't know, Joel. Maybe I need to text Joel right now.
Case in which that's a fair question.
No, so what it is our Saison.
Okay, so you just poured me some Malbec Saison.
Mm-hmm.
And this is beer that's been aged in
a Malbec wine barrel.
Okay. So it definitely has the taste of some grapes in there, as far as it's a lot lighter and it doesn't. Okay, I'm not a beer drinker. Listen to me. I generally drink some beer and I feel like it tastes like grass, and this doesn't. And so I like it.
My bartenders make fun of me all the time.
Oh, they do?
Because if you come in and talk to me, I love beer. Like, obviously, that's why I'm in a brewery. And I will talk to anybody for any amount of time about beer. And I give them little tastes. And I'm like, it is my goal before you leave here for me to find a beer that you like, that you'll come back and drink and be like, oh, Great Flood has this beer. Even though I'm a Budweiser drinker or a Mick Ultra drinker, oh, they have this whatever that I really like. And so it's kind of my goal to get anybody that comes in to like beer.
And you have this coffee porter that I tasted.
37 coffee porter. It's brewed with so we actually take the coffee, it's cold brewed, and then we add it into the brew of the beer. And so you can actually get the coffee taste out of it. It's a very strong coffee taste. So if you love coffee, it's a perfect beer for you.
Yeah, it's really good. And it's not bitter. I didn't think it was bitter at all, which a lot of times I don't want to drink coffee without stuff in it to help with the bitterness. But cold brew coffee is generally not as bitter. So that makes sense
bitter
too.
is a weird term to put with beer. Because this Malbec Saison that we're drinking isn't bitter at all. You're right, it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. So people a lot of times will assume that beer is bitter, even though I can get you something. We have a peach hibiscus Saison that is super sweet. That it's a peach flavor, which has no bitterness to it at all.
Okay, I'm in. I will try it.
So next time you're in, you're going to try the peach hibiscus Saison.
Yeah, I guess I need to have a whole flight of everything and see what all I like.
So you need to sit at the bar.
Yes.
The bartenders will even come up to me and be like, Nick, will you do your thing? Like, go down and talk to them and find them a beer that they like. So, yeah.
Get the Nick experience.
It's where I'm a super nerd about beer, and I want everybody to enjoy my hobby.
Yeah.
And so it's fun for me to be like, okay, try this one. Tell me this you like, this you don't. If you nothing you like in it, tell me what you don't like, and I can find something the opposite of it.
I feel like I had a similar experience at the eye doctor when they ask you, is it 1 or is it 2?
That's kind of
is
what
it 3 or is it 4?
I have never thought about that, but that is a good comparison to how I like to introduce people to beer.
Yeah, so you have a very calculated approach to your. I will find something you like and get the right prescription of beer for you.
Yeah, and you don't leave until I find you something. So.
Well, and then maybe have some poutine to make sure that you process it.
Or mac and cheese bites, or yes.
Those are, and don't you have risotto balls? Is that what it
so
is?
we did away with the risotto balls.
Yeah, okay, but mac and cheese bites are so good.
Mac and cheese bites are, yes.
I think for the first year, the picture that I had on my Lou review page that got the most likes was the mac and cheese bites for a long time, because it's you could just see that cheese.
And most people think they're little bite-sized pieces.
No, they're like softball size.
Yes, and they're jam-packed with macaroni and cheese, and then thrown in the fryer. And yeah, they're amazing.
And you can tell that somebody who loves cheese made these.
Going back to yes,
I
like cheese. Not enough cheese in the world. Need more cheese.
Yeah. Okay. So you decided to take on having a food restaurant instead of just a bar right before COVID. And so I think I met you around July of 2020. So what was that like?
So we had done one to-go order before we had to shut down. And it was just a whole learning curve. And we figured out really quickly how to move everything to go. And there was a lot of times I'd be chasing cars down with a bag that we forgot, when we were first learning, being like, I forgot your poutine. Don't hate me. I'm chasing you down. And everybody was super awesome. The community supported us, especially out here in Middletown. And they understood, and they kept coming back. And we kind of did the to-go food, and then we did to-go cocktails, which we still do.
Ooh.
And they're a professional cocktail made by a bartender with a lot of our infused liquors that we do. So we do.
That's right. You make your own infusions.
Yeah, we've got about 5 or 6 different infused cocktails. So we do ours a little different. A lot of places they'll just do a lid on a plastic cup and say that's their to-go cocktail. Ours are professionally made by our bartenders, and then we cork a wine bottle. So you can come get it's 4 servings. You can come and get it. So it's great to take to parties or whatever, where you have to pull the cork out and pour it. And we have things like a Kentucky lemonade, which is a basil basil bourbon infused together with lemonade. We have I'm trying to think of all of them off the top of my head. We have a watermelon LIT.
Yeah, I like that one.
We have a sangria. We do a margarita.
Mm-hmm. Is it a blackberry sangria? Is that right?
It is a blackberry sangria.
Yeah.
Out of our cocktails, especially in the summertime when it's cooler or hotter outside, it's one of our better selling cocktails that we have.
Okay. Yeah. I think I definitely had the watermelon LIT more than once, and the key lime pie.
Yeah, so that was my recipe.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm kind of proud of that one.
Your face, you got so happy.
Well, because it was a funny story.
Oh.
It was when we were doing less alcohol, and I was like, I want to do a low calorie, low sugar drink because a lot of them.
Because I asked you, do you have any low calorie drinks? Because I knew I was eating a lot of cheese. And so I didn't need any extra calories to drink.
So I came up with this idea, and it wasn't maybe at first appreciated in the bar. Oh. And once they tried it, they were like, okay, yes, this is going to sell and it's good. But I can't do that one in a to-go bottle just because it's got some carbonated water in it. So it'd go flat. Oh. But the other ones I can definitely do in the to-go bottles, and they're great for parties if you're going to a holiday party or whatever.
And they'll go flat even if they're corked?
Yeah, the carbonated water will. I gave one to a regular and was like, try this out for me. And they were like, it was still good, but it wasn't the same. And I'm not going to let anything leave either location if it's not up to the top standards.
You want it to be a good representation and not have somebody who hasn't been there try it and then be like, oh, I don't want to go there and have that. Right?
Yes.
So good thinking. Okay, I like that. So with all that you have been through in building this business from the ground up, first with the bar, and then, oh my goodness, the whole world of restaurant during COVID. What advice would you have for someone who wants to start their own business? What do you wish you had known before you said, yes, I will take this on?
It's a lot to do with, honestly, our vendors that we get from. You're going to have good people to rely on. I've got some that are just amazing and help me out and will bend over backwards, because you never know when something's going to come up and you just had a busy day and all of a sudden you look down and you're out of sweet potato fries, and you can call somebody up and be like, hey, can you help me out? Or something like that. It's 100% get to know your vendors and get the ones that are going to be really good that you can rely on.
Yeah. Do you source locally?
Yeah. So my burgers, I've got coming from a farm over in Indiana. Actually, it's kind of a cool story with our burgers. The farmer comes and gets our spent grain when we're done brewing, feeds it to his cattle, found a local USDA approved butcher who he takes the cows to, and then we buy the meat back from the farmer. Okay. So you can't get more farm to fork than our burgers out here in Middletown.
I feel like that's just like a whole circle. It just goes, you eat the grain from the beer, feeds the cows eat it.
And a drunk cow is the best thing to eat, right? You get some of the beer in there. Not really. You can't taste it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. Talk about coming full circle. That's wild.
Yeah. And then we use some local produce and things like that. We try to do as much local as we can.
Yeah, that's probably really helpful because then you don't have to worry about trucks being stuck on the other side of the country or something like that.
And then we have those products that we do have to wait on that we can't just do local, and that's where those good vendors come in.
Okay, where they have like a stockpile or something to pull,
or they find something else to replace it or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that's very creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how much it's just about people, isn't it?
Yes, and that's part of the thing. Like, people ask me all the time, like, how do you basically work 2 full-time jobs? And I'm like, well, I've got my day job, then I've got my fun job. Mm-hmm. I work with students during the day, and like, I love doing that. That's rewarding. Mm-hmm. And then I've got my fun job where I get to talk about beer and food and things like that. And I can use skills from both jobs at either one of them, but it's the 2 of them combined because I get to talk to adults, and then it helps me during the day that I'm talking to students. So,
yeah, it is very different. Like, you probably have to be feeling like you're on stage with the students, and there's only certain things you're allowed to say with them.
Yes,
but then I guess you could also speak Generation Z lingo with them, right?
Yes,
and then you probably don't need to do that with your customers because they won't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, does that make you bilingual?
I don't know. Does it? Does that count?
Across generations? I don't know. That's what millennials do, right? We bridge the divide.
It does help me with our younger staff. Like, we've got, the ones that can't, because you got to be 20 in a day to run alcohol and all that. So it helps with the front of that, like the hosts and the food runners and things like that. So,
where they feel like you're approachable and they can talk to you and you understand them. Yeah, that's great. Well, I definitely felt welcome ever since the first time coming over there, and I've brought lots of my friends over there.
And we appreciate that. We really do.
Well, I mean, you keep making good stuff that I want to come back for, and created just such a neat environment. Like, I really didn't even get the whole 37 flood like theme throughout. I just knew that I loved how the environment felt, and it was very intentional, and it looked very cohesive. So I think you accomplished your goal there.
Right.
But yeah. All right. And then if you are interested in checking out the beer or the food at Great Flood, check them out in the Highlands for the beer, and then the Middletown location in front of the Kroger on Shelbyville Road for the Great Flood Middletown. Mm-hmm. And you have 2 separate Instagram accounts for those as well. And
we
Facebook
do.
Accounts, right?
I think one is Great Flood Middletown, and the other one, the original one, is just Great Flood.
Yeah.
And then there's Facebook also that goes with it. So,
exactly. Yes. Yeah, they're connected. So I have been tagging them and will continue to, but also look on the Lou Review on Instagram at Lou Food Reviews, and Facebook, just the Lou Review, for pictures of my visits to Great Flood, because I have like a whole photo album of pictures that I've taken when we're at the Great Flood, so that you can see the different food that we got. I promise I didn't eat all that in one sitting. It's from multiple visits.
Nobody will care. Like, we don't judge. Like,
we did not talk about your hot brown.
Oh.
Can I just say, I didn't know that you were like a cheeseaholic or whatever, but your hot brown Mornay is some of the best in town. I gotta say, and I have conclusively tried the original, and I have tried like 20 different places, and it's one of my favorites for sure.
I had somebody call the other day. They were driving through town, and I pick up the phone, and they're like, "Hey, do you still have the hot brown on the menu?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Okay,
better.
What time are you closing?" And I don't remember what day it was, and I told them what time it was, and they're like, "Okay, we're driving through town. We're going to be there. We want to try a hot brown." And ours got to be the representation as they were driving through town, and they loved it, and it was awesome. And so
it's so good. It's massive. It's a huge, like, I cannot say enough good things about your hot brown.
It comes in a cast iron skillet that we put in the oven, and it sizzles a little bit as it comes out from the cast iron. It is really good. I don't get it very often myself, just because I can't eat that much very often. I'd be like 500 pounds.
Yes,
I have to be very careful in what I eat while I'm there.
Yeah, right. You're like, I made all this food for my palate, and then it's like, uh-oh. I created my own death trap.
Yes. Too much cheese on everything.
Well, I share that problem. Okay. But, and you have trivia night at both locations on Thursdays?
Thursday, and then in Middletown, we have live music on Fridays.
Oh.
Throwing around the idea, if I can figure out how to make it work, to start some karaoke out in Middletown on Monday or Tuesday. So
if I need
keep
to help
out
you
for
with
that.
You just let me know if you need help getting that started. I will come and sing sober, so I don't have to. I don't require anything.
And bring friends to get it started.
Yes,
and all
definitely.
That. So,
well, everybody else requires some loosening up to get going, but like I have a bachelor's in singing, so like that's my comfort zone. But yeah, that's so great. I want to do karaoke. So where would it be in the restaurant? I'm trying to picture.
On the bar side, kind of next to the where the brewery is in there.
Okay, and like the backdrop of the city.
Yep.
Okay. Oh,
yeah. That's where I was kind of
backdrop.
Thinking. I've got a guy who's willing to do it for me. I've just got to look into the equipment. So just trying to look at ways to get people to come out and have fun and enjoy the atmosphere and have a good time.
Communal atmosphere.
Yeah, because that's what we were built on in the Highlands. Everybody was in the neighborhood, and you could come in and just look around and see the same people and know that you're at home. I hate to say this, but it really was like a Cheers atmosphere where you'd walk in and everybody everybody knew your name. Isn't that the Cheers tagline? Yes. So that's what the Highlands was, and we really did want to bring that out to Middletown. COVID put a huge pause on that, but we're to the point where we kind of want to do that again.
Does everybody know your name with a mask on? Or can you hide?
I think you really can hide with a mask on.
Most people can. I thought that, so I'm a very approachable person, and I thought I could hide during COVID, but it has been proven that is not true. People will still approach me with a mask on, so I have given up on that. But I like the idea of creating that communal atmosphere. And my friends and I went for trivia last Thursday, or not, a couple Thursday nights ago, and it was so much fun.
So I'm a Highlands boy. Since I moved here, I've only lived in the Highlands, and a lot of my friends have moved out to Middletown, East End, and when we did this, we wanted to create, like I've said this before, an Highlands experience for the East End. And so that's kind of the stuff that, like the music, the trivia, hopefully karaoke takes off, that kind of stuff to bring out here, because now people who live in the East End, if they want to go do that, it's a $50 Uber ride down and back out, and you got to get
or heaven forbid we have to park. Don't ask us to park on Bardstown Road. I don't know if you heard the episode of the Gogi Korean barbecue. We loved that place, but my husband spent way too much of that episode complaining about how much we could not find a place to park on Bardstown Road. And then parking downtown is always stressful for people who are not used to it. So I think the Middletown location is so great because you've got that huge Kroger parking lot right there. And so you've got plenty of overflow.
We do have that there. And then in the Highlands, we have a parking lot. So you don't have to worry about street parking. You just go behind, because the main address is on Bardstown Road. If you just turn at the next light and go behind, we've got a huge parking lot back there, which is a gift in the Highlands.
Yes, it
to
is.
Have a parking lot. We've got patio down there also. So once it gets warmer, the Highlands location is dog friendly.
Ooh, okay.
So a lot of people bring in their dogs, and if you want to eat dinner, you're more than welcome to bring in food, whatever you want.
And you have food trucks there sometimes, right? Or
yes, we have in the past, and always looking to do that again. So,
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy night, Nick, to talk about this. I know this is kind of your baby. This is your life. Leave it. So thank you for sharing it.
I'll talk to anybody all the time. As you can tell, like I think I told you, like I said, hey, what are you asking me and all that, because I was a little nervous and I wanted to make sure. But like once I started, I was like, okay, I can't stop talking. It just kind of keeps flowing out as I go. So because I really enjoy both of everything that I do. So like I couldn't ask for anything better.
Oh, that makes my heart so happy. Oh, thank you for sharing your joy with me tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time we're at the Great Flood, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hello, and welcome to the Lou Review. This is Rosa, and I'm here today with Mallory. Mallory makes wreaths, and they are outstanding. Would you like to tell us about your business?
I would love to. My business is Our Lady of Wreaths. I started it in the summer. I don't remember exactly the month, but the summer of 2020 during I would say the height of the pandemic, but well, we've been setting records lately, so but during the initial height of the pandemic, I am in healthcare, and I needed something to sort of take my mind off of real life. I made my first wreath in 2015 when we moved in to our current house, and I really liked it.
It was for your house,
it was,
your new house.
It was just for me, yes.
Yeah.
It was just for us. I thought, I've never made a wreath, but we need a wreath for our door. So I made it, and I thought it was kind of fun. So I'd made a few more for us.
What were you using for that at the time?
I used grapevine base, and then, let's see, it had all sorts of things. It had some apples and pears.
Fruity.
Yeah, it had some fruit. It had sort of like a late summer, early fall vibe.
Because you were moving at that time.
Yes, so it was like, we moved into the house in July, and then I probably made it once we settled. So back in 2020, I was kind of getting the itch to make another wreath, but I was like, we don't need another wreath.
Yeah.
But my coworker, who's also a speech pathologist like me, she had just bought a house.
Oh, okay.
And I said, would you like a wreath for your door? And she said, yeah, sure. So it was like a housewarming gift.
Yeah.
I had sent a picture of that to my friend who lives in Seattle.
And just so you know, this is not me breathing heavy. She's got her nice big dog in here, and he's being very sweet and gentle, but you may hear some heavy breathing. It's not me panting over here over her beautiful wreath, like, oh my gosh, I've got to have one. But please continue your story.
So I sent a picture of it to my friend in Seattle, and she had just bought a house, and she said, I love that. Will you make me one? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I had designed that wreath myself. I had just went to the store and found some things that I liked, and so it had a white welcome on it, and then a whole lot of succulents and some other neat things. And then my friend was like, why don't you sell these? And so that's kind of how it got started.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, and you started doing, you did classes too, right?
Yes.
That's how I saw you online initially.
Yeah.
Was you offering Christmas wreath making classes? Because that's when people who, even when you don't care about wreaths the rest of the year, I think most people want a Christmas wreath, probably because you're going to have people over.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know, there's just something about decorating for Christmas. We don't decorate a whole lot for other holidays or other times of the year, but we kind of go all out for Christmas. I actually started, my first wreath making class I did was at a place called The Cottage at the Walnut Grove Nursery, which is like maybe 5 minutes.
Don't they
from the
also
house.
like make like cutting boards and stuff?
They
associated?
offer a lot of different craft classes. Okay. But I stopped in one day, and I said, would you be interested in hosting a wreath class? Mm-hmm. And she jumped on it. So we did a few fall wreath classes.
Oh, okay.
And then, fast forward a few months, and I had a message in my Instagram,
inbox.
Yeah, in the inbox and the, requested messages or whatever. And 90% of the time it's somebody who's like, do you want to grow your Instagram following? Pay us this much money and we'll give you this many followers.
Yeah.
And then the other 8% of the time it's someone saying, do you want a sugar daddy?
Exactly. I get those too.
And then the other 2%, it's somebody who I don't follow back who's responded to one of my stories.
Yeah.
But it was actually somebody from Maker's Mark. Mm-hmm. And she said, we're really interested in hosting some, kind of wreath and sip classes. Would you be interested? And I was like, of course I'd be interested. You're Maker's Mark. And I said, I'm going to have to check with my husband. He's in medical school. He's doing his rotations. So it's really going to depend on scheduling.
Yeah.
And she said, I totally understand. We want to work with you. We want it to be you. So we're going to work with you as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So we made it happen. We had 2 days of classes, 2 classes per day. Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to go. I'm sorry it didn't work out. They're so beautiful.
Well,
you've got these little bottles, I guess not really shot glass size,
probably,
a little bit bigger, little mini Maker's Mark bottles that you incorporate in the wreath under the bow. And then you've got like little hanging bells on the top of the wreath. It's so pretty. It's like, it's almost like a harp made of bells or something. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's very unique, I feel like.
I really liked the bells. And it's funny, like, I think I got that message on a Monday. On a Wednesday, I got another request from a brewery here in Louisville.
Yeah, Highwire?
Yeah, Highwire Brewery. Mm-hmm. And they wanted me to do a wreath making class there too. So it was, the timing of it all was really strange. But
yeah, because you hadn't talked to them earlier in the year about it. It was just kind of last minute.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even last minute. It was just, 2 days separated.
Apart from each other.
Yeah. So
I wonder if they had a meeting somewhere and they were like, "What's on trend for this year?"
Right. So the person who contacted me for Maker's Mark is from London, and she moved to the States. She worked for Maker's Mark in London, and then moved to Kentucky. Like, if she had been scheduled to move a week later, she wouldn't have made it because that was right when everything started to shut down.
You mean London, England, or London, Kentucky?
London, England.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And apparently these, those sort of craft classes are fairly popular over there. So that's how she got the idea.
Yeah.
So the plan is we're going to do something for spring, like something for each season. So
that's at Maker's Mark? How exciting. So I guess you'll have a spring Easter one type thing?
I don't know. She was actually thinking about like a wreath. What's the word? Like
a crown?
Crown,
thing?
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So I need to kind of get in touch with her and see what she's thinking.
Does the activity involve like a maypole?
That's a great question.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah. That's about it in a nutshell, I guess.
It just really took on a life of its own. So you've been doing it for a year and a half now.
Yeah. Yep. I've been doing it for a year and a half. I started out just like on Facebook, and then I was like, okay, I need an Instagram. And
you started making some reels or TikToks or something?
Yes.
To promote your products and show tips on making things?
Yes. I have some that are just like silly and me acting a fool, and then I have others where it's, shows me making them or giving tips. I started a TikTok account a few months ago, and I've had a couple that went bonkers. I had one.
You're doing really good.
I know.
You've done a really good job making them.
Thank you. Somebody who knew me 5 years ago would never have, I have a friend who says, like, every time I'm scrolling and I see one of your videos, I can't believe it's you. So, it's I don't know, it's fun.
Isn't it neat? It's like you find a new skill, and then it's like this side of you that was waiting to come out gets a chance to, because you're busy doing your day-to-day job as a speech therapist, being a mom, because you got 3 kids, right?
3 kids.
Yeah. And a furry kid.
And a furry kid.
He's a sweet kid.
He is
a sweet puppy. Yes. He's looking at me like, why are you not petting him more?
That's exactly right.
So, well, thanks for sharing that part of your story with us. So, as you've evolved into this being a business, what advice would you have for someone who wants to start their own business that you wish you had known before?
Well, the first thing I would say is, if it's something that you really enjoy doing that, nourishes some part of your soul or your life, and helps you be a better you, a better mom, a better wife, a better employee, whatever it is, you should totally do it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's probably the most important one is, looking back at some of the first wreaths I made. Can you please sit down? Thank you. Looking back at some of the first wreaths I made, I'm like, whew, they weren't the best,
Aww.
But, just do it. Just do it. And something else I've learned is that, the wreath making community is really wonderful and welcoming, and we all support each other. Because there's I don't think it matters what business you're in. There's plenty of people who are going to want what you have to offer, and you don't have to, try and, I don't know, you don't have to compete with people, because, I have a style of wreaths that I do, a style of door hangers that I do. And if
you don't do those ribbon wreath things.
I've made a couple of them, but, I have a friend here in town. Her ribbon wreaths are just gorgeous. Her bows are she's just the best. And so I'll refer people to her. I'll say I would happily try, but I have somebody who's really, really good. So if you want to talk to her, please do.
Yeah. And be mutually supportive like that.
Yeah, for sure. So there's more than enough business to go around, especially when you're first starting out and you're, you still have another job and you've got your family and, you don't have time to. Well, it's just not feasible to do
everything.
Do it full time,
right?
And so you have to kind of pick and choose.
As one of the Instagrammers I watch, it's Modern Millie. She says, "Follow your joy."
I love that.
Yeah,
because
it's you enjoy making the kind of wreaths that you make, and you do them to the best of your ability, and you're constantly trying new things and tweaking them. But if somebody else has a skill in a different area, you can support them, and I love that attitude. And I was listening to something about podcasting because, this is very, very new for me too, really. And, they were saying a lot of people get intimidated because they're like, oh, there's so many podcasts about my topic. Why would anybody ever want to listen to me? And why should it be out there? And they said, if there are a lot of podcasts on the topic that you are wanting to talk about, then that means that there is a demand, and that just validates the fact that a lot of people are interested in the same thing that you are.
Very true.
But nobody has the same perspective as you.
Right.
And I think one cool thing about this podcast is getting to meet people like you who there's not another Mallory like you.
Right.
And we have a lot in common. We both take care of stroke patients, and we both work in Louisville, but we never met.
Yeah, and we don't live that far from each other either.
Yeah, we're practically neighbors.
Yeah. But
we never would have met except for these wreaths and this podcast. So I'm really thankful it worked out. So
yeah, me too.
So besides Maker's Mark, are there any other classes you think you're going to be teaching?
I expect to do more at Highwire. But I've got a humongous backlog of orders from a TikTok that went viral.
Oh, which one is that?
It's one of the ones that's pinned. It's like
Okay.
the one that has...
Which wreath is it?
It's one of my door hangers with the interchangeable flower pieces.
Oh, yes.
So those are like the most work and take the most time, and of course, but that's, I mean, it's great.
Are there like 12 pieces or 12 interchangeable?
There are 4. So
Okay.
It comes with 4. I can, if you want more, I can make more.
So when they buy the door hanger, that it comes with 4 though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it
and how
comes
much
with
are
4.
those?
So I just started my website,
Oh.
OurLadyOfWreaths.com, and
Okay.
so I adjusted the price a little bit on that, especially because it went crazy and I had all these orders, and I was like, well, there's a pretty good demand. So
And you need supplies.
and I need supplies. So, and I actually started, instead of using vinyl stickers basically for the design, I just use the sticker as a stencil now. So it's a little bit more labor intensive, but it's going to be more durable.
Oh, okay.
I
Were
started,
you using a Cricut for it? Okay.
yeah, so I still use the Cricut to cut out the design, but instead of the sticker, it's just a stencil. So for an 18-inch door hanger, that comes with 4 interchangeable floral swags, and you get to make the design of your choice. You get to choose the stain. You can choose what you want on the swags if you want. It's $125. That includes shipping. You know, obviously, if you're here in Louisville, we can arrange to pick up, and then you would get a little discount for, you know, me not having to box it up and ship it to you.
Right.
You can buy the swags later. So, like, I had somebody who I used to work with, actually, she ordered 2 signs as Christmas gifts, and she said, I really want one, but it's just like not in my budget right now. And I said, well, I can make you a sign and like 1 swag, and then you can buy more swags later. And she was like, really? And I said, well, yeah, sure. So, you know, I can be pretty flexible.
Yeah, I love that, especially because like it's so customizable.
Yes.
And it's so nice to have like your own message on one. Like my neighbor made me one, and it says, "Yay, you're here." And if you know me, that was just perfect because I just love having people over. But you can't just like get a custom made wreath at Hobby Lobby or something like that. You can get the stuff to start with.
Yeah.
But like one time I thought I had several different places charcuterie, and I wanted to have a charcuterie for my family for holiday. What was it? Thanksgiving or something? I can't remember. And I was like, oh, it'll probably be cheaper if I just do it myself, because a lot of the times you think, oh, it'll be cheaper if I do it myself. But I was not considering how expensive all the different ingredients are. And so if you're buying in bulk or you know the prices of things to work with for like specialty meats and cheeses, then you have a business and you can like make an affordable box. I spent way more making my own. That was nowhere near as nice as something I could have gotten from like Board and You or something like that. And so I think that applies here as well, as like you could try to make your own at the store or whatever, but the detail that you're able to do, since you are doing so many of them and customizing the messages and all that, I think it's very valuable. So
Yeah, well, thanks.
yeah, and your wreaths are outstanding. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
So I'll be posting links and tagging her and the Our Lady of Wreaths page on my Facebook, which is the Lou Review, and at Lou Food Reviews on TikTok and Instagram now. So hope you'll follow along, and we'll see you in the next episode. All right, bye.